What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into a Friday episode as you're watching and listening to this of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Dylan coming at you from Underground Studios. Got a lot to dive into. Obviously, our three shows on the docket that you see on the rundown below Dylan and I's TV screens. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Episode 5, the penultimate episode of this season. A lot of rumors going around, Dylan, that we're going to get a second season of Obi-Wan, which is very interesting. We're going to get into Stranger Things Volume 1, Episode 6, Miss Marvel Episode 2, and then some of the news and notes from around the streaming platform Multiverse, everybody's favorite segment brought to you by the homies over at Pickup. But before we get started, make sure you're following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, on Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Dylan, the milestone for me finally happened. I cracked 2,000 followers.
Hey!
It only took 10 years of being on Twitter, but here's to the next 10 years and the next 2,000 followers. Make sure you are checking out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. I'm pulling up the charts right now to see where we're cooking right now. Cooking them up. And Dylan, while I'm pulling up the charts, let everybody know what they should be doing in the Apple Podcast reviews.
You know what it already is. You should be leaving reviews of what we are to watch / stream next for you guys on this pod. Also, obviously, give good reviews, but let us know what you want us to watch. Give us some recommendations. It doesn't matter who streaming service. We got them all.
We're still hanging out in Austria. We're number 164 in Austria, but we fell off the charts in Saudi Arabia. We had a good run.
Man, we were doing so well there for a while.
Maybe we'll get back up with all the live golf people, doing the damn thing over there with that Saudi money. But we are still cooking in Austria. Let's keep these charts rolling. Obi-Wan Kenobi, almost done. Stranger Things, I feel like we're going to hit a big, massive boom with that finale. So be a friend, tell a friend, subscribe to the podcast feed. If you were already subscribed, unsubscribe and resubscribe, because it makes the algorithm think we're getting new subscribers. And like Dylan said, leave those 5-star reviews and recommendations in the reviews, and subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Subscribe.
Yes.
Hit the like button, the bell icon. Leave comments down below with your recommendations on YouTube, because I know our YouTube audience is different than our podcast audience, but we want to try to bridge that gap and bring you all together and be one big happy StreamerSZN family. So leave those comments. The same thing in the Apple Podcast reviews on the YouTube, because we'll see them all. So let's get those things cooking. Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Tomahawk Shades, Dylan, you're going to love this. They are in stock. It is official. Tomahawk RX. The prescription lenses are here. TomahawkShades.com. The prescription lenses, you can go get them now at TomahawkShades.com, and you can use our code Tomahawk at TomahawkShades.com USP at checkout. That's USP in the little promo code bar at checkout at TomahawkShades.com for 25% off your order, including the all-new Tomahawk RX prescription lenses. Kenwood beer, Dylan's favorite beverage of choice when he's traveling the coarse sands of Tatooine. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. And the homies over at Bino Board, Dylan, I don't know if you saw this on their Instagram. They brought back, on just viewing-wise, everybody's begging and pleading for them to bring it back. It's a red bottom Bino board. So the wood that holds the board up is red. The board is black. There's gray pieces.
Whoa.
I said, this looks like it's straight out of the Upside Down. And then they commented on it right back and said, at Stranger Things TV, collab ? With the thinking emoji. I'm just saying, an Upside Down Bino board would look pretty cool. They have a whole bunch of new stuff in stock. Bino dad hats, Bino trucker hats. The red bands are now back in stock to put around your boards instead of the traditional black or white. You can get the red bands now. BinoBoard.com. And I just got the text, Dylan. People are going to be excited about this. Brand new, back in stock. You're going to love this, people. I'm telling you right now. The Bino Classic Green Turf Stripes limited edition board, back in stock. By the time you're listening to this, Friday, noon Pacific time, so 3 p.m. Eastern time, It will be back in stock. Set an alarm, BinoBoard.com. You can use our code BinoUSP to get 10% off that bad boy as soon as it drops. BinoBoard.com, promo code BinoUSP.
Google that myself.
Dylan, Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 5 is here. It's hard to believe that this series, or I should say potentially this season, is almost done. Obviously we had the double episode on debut day, but episode 5 is here, and we were talking pre-recording just now, and you said you weren't that big of a fan of this episode.
I liked it up until a certain point, and then I was like, meh. I mean, hopefully they, make me change my mind next week, but what they left me on, I was just kind of like, left. I was desiring more. That's all.
For sure. So we're going to get into part 5. I like how these are just called parts, because this was supposed to be a movie for the people that didn't know.
It definitely feels like it would have been a movie.
Yeah, it's filmed that way. I like it a lot, the way that it's cinematography-wise. It's presented to everybody. So, onward to Jabeem, Dylan. Onward to Jabeem.
Yes,
it's your boy, Jabeem, in a flashback scene.
Babu Freak?
Babu Frick from Jabeem in a flashback scene. # bars. Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi meets with his Padawan Anakin Skywalker for a lightsaber sparring session. Kenobi asks Skywalker if he's ready before the two parry. In the present, an Imperial captain ushers the third sister Reva aboard the ship, aboard the bridge of his Imperial Star Destroyer Devastator. What a name.
Yeah.
Dispensing with pleasantries, Vader demands to know where Kenobi is, and Reva reports that they have tracked Kenobi down to Jabeem.
Jabeem.
I keep saying that like the skit from the Amanda Show. The girls' room. Vader expresses satisfaction before ordering her to kneel in the presence of the bridge crew. After promoting Reva to the rank of Grand Inquisitor, he orders the captain to set a course for Jabeem immediately. Did you think he was gonna give her that title at all in this series?
Yes, because I guessed what was gonna happen towards the end.
Last week.
Yeah. No, I definitely thought she was gonna get it because I just thought Lord Vader was doing it to amuse himself, and we kind of learned that's true.
I felt like it was a way to garner her trust a little bit too, to make her guard a bit.
Yeah, make her guard completely. It's a great point. Her guard was completely down because, from her point of view, she's like, "Yeah, I got promoted." Well, not so much.
Yikes. Meanwhile, Roken freight transport descends in Jabeem's atmosphere and lands at the Path's base. Roken disembarks with Kenobi, Princess Leia Organa, Tala Durth, and Sully. Kenobi is surprised to see Haja Estri, who reveals that he fled Dayu, that is Camille Nanjiani's character, after getting into a fight with the third sister. In response, the Galactic Empire had placed a bounty on him, making him a fugitive like the Jedi. Haja hopes to exploit business opportunities on Jabeem. Kenobi speaks with Roken, telling him that he needs to get Leia back to Alderaan on the transport. And Roken explains that the other people in the Path base have been waiting for months, and Roken explains that they had been planning to use an old trade route but had delayed the trip in order to rescue Leia. Kenobi promises to do what he can to help Roken and tells the fugitives to get ready to depart. And then we go a little Beastie Boys here. Sabotage!
That's true, though.
While Vader's Star Destroyer travels through hyperspace, he issues orders to lock down the Path's base. Reva warns that if they trap them, their opponents can hold out for several days, and Vader replies that he does not intend to break their enemies. Meanwhile, the reprogrammed Lola droid flies into the base's power plant and hacks into the electrical system, sealing the hangar roof. And Kenobi notices writing on the wall stating that, quote, "Light will fade, but it's never forgotten." As the hangar roof door seals, Kenobi discusses the situation with Tala, who believes that Reva has tracked them down to Jabeem. Kenobi believes that Vader is leading the hunt and plans to attack the Path's base rather than lay siege to them. When Roken asks how he knows Vader's next move, Kenobi experiences a flashback of dueling with Skywalker in a training session. Skywalker advances aggressively on his master, prompting Kenobi to warn him that the Jedi goal is to defend life rather than to kill it. Skywalker ignores Kenobi's warning and advances on him, countering that mercy does not defeat an enemy. As the two cross blades, Skywalker states this is why he's going to lose. In the present, Darth Vader's Star Destroyer dispatches 2 starships to attack the Path's base, and Kenobi addresses the frightened civilians, telling them that he understands their fear and anxiety. Since they are unable to fight the Empire, he states that they will aim to hold off the Empire long enough until they can reopen the hangar roof. Kenobi tasks Ronin and his fighters with reopening the facility's hangar roof within an hour and sealing the other entrances. Dylan, do you think there's any task that requires that much, like, tactical skill that Roken said it would take 4 to 5 hours, and Obi-Wan's like, yeah, well, you have 1. Is there anything that you could do that would take 4 to 5 hours typically in 1 hour?
I don't know, because if something takes that long, you're cutting it down so quickly. But then again, we learned that a small child fixes the problem, so I don't know how. Maybe Roken's just bad at estimating time. I don't know, you know what I mean?
They did. It feels like they've given Roken all the throwaway lines in his 2 episodes. It's like,
yeah, his character is very underwhelming, unfortunately, because I do like the actor. It's what you just said. He hasn't really done much. He said, like, we'll help you out.
It's like, I can't fit up there. Get her a ladder.
Yeah, like, cool, dude. Like, nice, thanks.
As the Imperial ships descend, the Path's defenders get to work in sealing the remaining entrances, and the Imperial ships dispatch a landing part of stormtroopers and elite purge troopers. The purge has begun. You have 24 hours.
Cool.
Who surround the facility.
Usually the troopers with black armor look pretty
They look
sick.
sweet. Several stormtroopers assemble heavy guns, and the Imperial troops are joined by Reva, who arrives in the shuttle Scythe. These ships are fucking awesome names.
Yeah, they look pretty sleek too. The Inquisitor like shuttles.
Yeah, Scythe. Like, come on, that's just like, hello, Grim Reaper. She orders them to bombardment the outer doors, and Tala urges Roken to work on reopening the hangar roof, but they encounter difficulties. Haja suggests that Roken and his men enter the vents to investigate what is obstructing the hangar roof, but Roken replies that he is too big. Lose some weight, pal. It's cutting season.
Just sit down, bro.
Leia volunteers with Kenobi, advising her to be careful. He also tells Haja to keep an eye on her while she climbs the ladder. Kenobi leaves to listen to a message left by Senator Bail Organa on his portable holo projector. In private, Kenobi sees that Organa is worried by the lack of communication, and Organa fears that Vader has found Kenobi or learned about the children, and if he does not hear from Kenobi soon, he will travel to Tatooine to protect Owen Lars and Luke Skywalker. Following the transmission, Kenobi reassures Tala that he will be alright, and Tala confides that she took part in an operation to round up 4 Force-sensitive families on Garrel under the cover of arresting people for tax evasion.
Big Ikes.
Hilarious. Tala was traumatized by the death of 14 people, including 6 children at the hand of the Inquisitors, and Tala resolves to make amends for her wrongdoings by helping to fight off the Imperial besiegers. With the outer doors buckling under pressure, Kenobi tells the defenders that he will buy them time by parleying with the third sister. During a ceasefire, Reva warns the fugitive Jedi that his stalling tactics will not stop Vader's advance. Kenobi questions how she knows about Vader's identity, and Anakin, since he believes she was too young to have known him, and Kenobi deduces that Reva was a youngling who witnessed Skywalker leading the attack on the Jedi Temple on the night of Order 66, just like Dylan and I did during Episode 1 of our Obi-Wan Kenobi breakdowns.
Yeah, that's true. Whatchamacallit? I'm trying to think, though, like, the episode gives you immense foreshadowing when you think about it. Like, obviously, if you're listening, you've watched the episode, and at this point, you might be picking up. But, like, I also thought it was kind of funny whenever her and Obi-Wan are, like, talking to each other. Like, the Stormtroopers aren't just sitting there like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, why is my evil lady that bosses me around, like, having a whisper session with the most hunted man in the galaxy?
Come here, little mama, let me whisper in your ear.
Yeah. Like, the troopers are probably like, get a load of this, Barnacles.
This is a load of barnacles.
Yeah, right. But like, if you were an Irish stormtrooper in that situation, like we were assaulting a fortress in our mind, you'd be like, why? What's she doing?
What the hell is going on here? Reva's haunted by her memories of Skywalker killing her fellow youngling friends. She says that she believed that Vader was there to help them and was shocked when he murdered her Jedi quote-unquote family.
She saw the youngling killer 3000 in action.
And then had to walk by the youngling in the honeycomb that we saw last week every single day. It's like, god damn, no wonder she's mad.
She by one of her friends.
Yeah. Reva reveals that she survived by playing dead, which this whole scene, and I heard a few people talk about this, they did put the disclaimer at the beginning of this episode too, which I had to like rewind and see what it said.
I didn't even see that.
There was like a disclaimer saying that some scenes may be difficult to watch or listen to, obviously with recent events in our actual world. People have said that they were kind of surprised that they kept that in, and I think Tommy Bechtold said it best. It's like, if anything, we should be questioning like our actual like real life society of everything that's going on, and not be like putting at fault, a production company who filmed something 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's just like, you can't, like, I don't want to say cancel everything because that comes off a little pretentious, but like, it's more or less true in terms of like, it's more
damning on us as a society than
if I make a movie or a show or a skit 2 years before an accident happens. Yes, it might be slightly insensitive depending upon how severe the accident is, but at the same time, they made, in this scenario I made, the product well before anything of that incredulous, like, disgusting thing happened. You know what I mean? It's not technically their duty to not post it out. Like, what do you want people to do? Like, let's say before 9/11, and that's controversial, but whatever. Someone made a video about like a movie and like their plane, like blew up. Not hitting a building, just a plane blew up. Should they have to cancel their movie because a plane blows up and it's kind of similar to 9/11? Like, maybe at the time you would say yes, but looking back now, most people will probably say no.
Yeah, and like,
it's like shock value.
That scene in this episode was meant to make you feel the way it made you feel. Like, when Reva's explaining everything, the way she's talking about it, and they take you through those scenes of Order 66 that we see in live action for the first time, because in the prequels they cut away from it. Like, you're supposed to feel weird and like eerie about it, because it's weird and eerie that a grown human is slaughtering kids, obviously in a fictional story, but like, you're supposed to feel triggered.
Yeah, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't too bad. Like, compared to other shows we've covered or other shows we've talked about. My point is, it was definitely not nice, but like, it could have been worse. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't.
You were supposed to feel the way you felt during that scene.
Yeah, you can't just show an Order 66 flashback and have like rainbows and sunshine. Right.
So, with the outer doors buckling under pressure, blah blah blah, Kenobi realizes that Reva is planning to kill Vader and asks her to work with him. Reva is distrustful of Kenobi and questions his desire to kill Vader, pointing out that Kenobi was not there to protect her and the other Jedi at the temple. Reva points out that Skywalker was Kenobi's Padawan, and asks why he did not stop him when he had the chance. And Reva rejects Kenobi's offer to help and believes that she will triumph over her enemies alone. The third sister uses her lightsaber to cut her way through the metal gate. However, Kenobi uses the Force to hurl her back. A gun battle breaks out between Reva's stormtroopers and the Path fighters. Reva orders her troops to storm the breach in the Path's facility. Path fighters, including Tala and the loader droid Ned, our boy Ned,
I forgot he had a name. I just call him the droid dude.
Ned B. Shoot at the advancing Imperials. Right. Kenobi also joins the fight with the lightsaber and strikes down a purge trooper. Through sheer weight of numbers, the Imperials advance into the Path's facilities. Meanwhile, Haja tells Leia that she is looking for a red breaker. A red breaker, Leia. It's red. A red breaker. Tala and the Pathfighters retreat deeper into the base while Kenobi helps a wounded woman to safety. Ned B also fights several stormtroopers. He manages to hurl two aside, and Tala is also hit and falls to the ground. Kenobi attempts to assist her and strikes down several stormtroopers with his lightsaber. Ned B carries the wounded Tala to safety before using his body as a shield against the stormtroopers' blaster bolts. Tala tells Kenobi to retreat before activating a detonator. Kenobi is distraught but seals the inner blast door. Tala blows herself up, delaying the Imperial advance. And my goodness,
Rip.
human sacrifice. I don't know if you caught a glimpse of the grenade that she had. It kind of looked like the Death Star.
Yeah, but that's her. She had the standard thermal detonator. That's what the same exact grenade that Princess Leia uses to when she's in that disguise to get Han Solo in one of the older. But
Okay.
yeah, no, it does kind of look like it. But yeah, most of the.
I was like, oh, they blew up the Death Star again.
No, most of them look that way.
This was the scene that I was crushed. I was like, ugh. Not another one of Kenobi's people, just gone now. As if he needed more drama.
That messed up.
I know, both of them.
Leia would agree with me. I mean, it's just the same thing. Her character, I liked it. She was more developed than some of the other side characters. Mm-hmm. She was repenting and trying to, own up for her sins. But we just didn't see enough of her for me to truly feel an emotional connection. No, don't get me wrong. It still sucked to see Obi-Wan, like you said, have a little more trauma thrown in his belt because the man already has enough. But in the grand scheme of things, he'll probably forget about it in a couple months too because he met the woman for what, a day? I was just saying. Yeah. Granted, the idea that people are sacrificing themselves for the Jedi is pretty messed up and poetic in a way. So that's kind of deep. But the character itself, I was like, that sucks. But it is what it is.
Kenobi and the surviving fighters retreat to the inner sanctum of the base, only to find that Leia is still trying to open the hangar roof. The Imperial captain informs Lord Vader that Reva has breached the inner sanctum. Vader tells the captain to order Reva to stand down, believing that Kenobi is in their grasp. In a flashback scene, Skywalker drives Kenobi to the edge of the balcony and tells his master to admit that he is beaten. Believing that they have lost, Kenobi wants to go back and surrender to Lord Vader. Roken objects, telling Kenobi that Tala's sacrifice would be in vain. Kenobi is determined to stop Lord Vader's advance in order to save the fugitives inside, and Kenobi asks Haja to look after Leia. Roken asks Kenobi how he is going to fight Vader without a weapon, prompting Kenobi to reply that there are other ways to fight. Kenobi walks out of the second blast door and surrenders to the Imperials. He is arrested by 2 stormtroopers. Other stormtroopers evacuate their wounded and fallen comrades, and while Leia searches through the cables and wires for the red breaker, Lola watches her menacingly, and Kenobi is brought to a triumphant Reva, who orders her troops to inform Lord Vader of their capture. Reva informs Kenobi that Lord Vader is on his way, and Kenobi counters that he is bringing him to her rather than the other way around. He asks Reva if she is going to let Lord Vader slaughter more civilians, including children, and reiterates his offer to stop Vader again. When Reva asks if he won't see it coming, Kenobi replies that Vader will be too fixated on him, and 2 stormtroopers escort Kenobi back inside the base. And back in the flashback, Kenobi manages to break out of the corner that Skywalker had maneuvered him into, and the 2 resume their fight, but Skywalker still manages to knock the lightsaber out of Kenobi's hand, and Kenobi warns his Padawan that his need for victory blinds him, and back in the present, Vader arrives outside the Path Fortress and meets with Reva, demanding to know where Kenobi is. She tells her master that Kenobi is inside, but Vader is determined to bring Kenobi in himself. Meanwhile, Kenobi breaks free of his stormtrooper captors and flees deeper in the Path's facility while searching for the Red Breaker. Leia is attacked by the reprogrammed Lola, and Leia sees that a restraining bolt has been attached to Lola and frees her droid, freeing her of the Imperial programming. Not the first time we've seen a droid with Imperial programming. Shout out Babu Frick.
And it probably won't be the last time.
Vader enters the base in pursuit of Kenobi while Leia and Lola work together to open the roof doors. Sully leads the refugees aboard their ship while Kenobi reunites with Leia, and Leia learns that Tala did not survive. While Leia and Kenobi head for their transport, Vader forces his way inside the hangar bay. He uses the Force to grab Roken's freighter, preventing the ship from ascending and forcing it to the ground. This was one of the coolest parts of this entire episode. Yeah. Seeing Darth Vader's Force powers on full display like that was so badass. He rips the ship apart, which this part was even cooler, just ripping it apart piece by piece, and you see that thing flying apart, only to find that it is an empty decoy, and the Pathfighters and refugees escape on a second freighter while Vader watches in fury. Back in the past, Kenobi breaks free of Skywalker in the sparring match and uses the Force to grab his Padawan's lightsaber, and Kenobi tells Skywalker that he is a great warrior, but that his need to prove himself is his undoing. Kenobi, say that 10 times fast, everyone. Kenobi counsels Skywalker to overcome this desire in order to progress from being a Padawan. Back in the present, Reva attempts to stab Vader with her lightsaber, but he uses the Force to block her blade. And this was also super cool, just seeing Darth Vader just being like, yeah, fuck you, I don't need a lightsaber to overpower you. And was just like fucking airbendering everything with the Force.
Well, it just shows how strong he is, man.
It was badass. Vader surmises that Kenobi was wise to use the third sister against him. He hurls Reva aside. Reva charges, but Vader uses the Force to deflect her lightsaber and hurls her to the ground multiple times. Reva activates her lightsaber's twin blade spinning mode with port and starboard attachments. But is no match for Vader's mastery of the dark side. Vader uses the Force to split her lightsaber in half. Again, incredibly badass. And Reva continues fighting with her remaining lightsaber, but the Sith Lord grabs both and gains the upper hand over her. Reva is haunted by memories of Vader killing her fellow younglings. Lord Vader stabs Reva through the torso with a lightsaber and chides her failed assassination attempts. As the revived Grand Inquisitor and several stormtroopers join them, Vader says that the third sister is of no use to him, and the Grand Inquisitor greets the third sister, stating that revenge can fuel the will to live. He tells her that her rage was useful, but has now become tiresome. The Grand Inquisitor and Vader abandon Reva, leaving her to tend to her wounds. And Dylan predicted this last week, because we all know the Grand Inquisitor has two stomachs, and the actor who plays the Grand Inquisitor was on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and brought that exact thing up right before this episode aired. So Dylan, once again, nailing the Star Wars lore, put it up there with Luke Skywalker's school.
I wish, yeah.
Real ones know.
But yeah, no. That's a great prediction. That's kind of why I love the show, by the way. Earlier, Kyle asked me, or brought up that, I lost the show, the episode. I didn't like that the Inquisitor and Vader left her alive, and that's not to say because I dislike her character. I actually grown to like her character, especially when you learn that she was using the Inquisitor lifestyle in order just to murk Darth Vader. So she literally killed and hunted other Jedi just so she could get revenge on her Jedi, which now saying it out loud doesn't really make sense, but nonetheless, I respect it. I just think that Darth Vader is the most sinister villain in one of the most sinister villains, and then the Grand Inquisitor is not nobody either. So it's just surprising that one of them didn't murder her there. So this as a sign of dominance, because generally that's what happens. Sith always try to kill or overthrow each other. It's like a revolving door. But usually when they go too far, the other Sith kills that Sith, or they really, really hurt them, which we saw. But usually they really hurt them by chopping off a limb, kind of belittling them. Stabbing her to me is just it's kind of lazy in terms of writing, because the only person that ever fucking died from a lightsaber stab is Qui-Gon Jinn. Everyone else survives it. Everyone else.
Plot twist: she has two stomachs.
No. She got stabbed in it was the chest, right? Chest, stomach. It wasn't right.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so she'll be fine.
I told you before we started recording, because I felt the same way. Why wouldn't you finally make up for your mistake if you're Darth Vader, in his mind frame? And the only thing I could think of was just bringing the parallels of she was left to die as a youngling, now she's left to die as an adult almost. But we'll see in the finale episode. And aboard Roken's ship, Kenobi and Leia sit among the refugees, and Roken tells them the ship's hyperdrive is not working and the Empire is still pursuing them. Back on Jabeam, Reva reaches for her double-bladed spinning lightsaber with port and starboard attachments, and eyes Kenobi's holoprojector that Haja had dropped earlier. Watching the holoprojector's hologram, Reva intercepts Organa's message and learns that Anakin Skywalker has a son on Tatooine. Kenobi realizes his holo projector is missing, but tells Roken that nothing is wrong. And on Tatooine, the young Luke Skywalker sleeps in his bed at the Lars homestead, and we cut to credits.
Yeah, I didn't hate the episode. I liked most of it. I just didn't like that factor I brought up. And I didn't like... really just that really bugged me. Just a lot. a lot. That's all I gotta say about it. Other than that, I enjoyed the action. It was nice seeing some stormtroopers, some fighting. The plot makes sense. I like the flashbacks, like Kyle said. So all in all,
the flashbacks were really dope this episode. That was I think that was the biggest thing that the doofus Star Wars fans were like, "Where's Hayden Christensen? You said Hayden Christensen was gonna be in this show, and we've barely seen him." Well, you saw him now, and I thought it was really fucking cool the way that they brought the flashbacks in, and the way that they're using flashbacks in this phase of Star Wars is really cool. I really enjoyed those flashbacks because they looked aesthetically pleasing too, on top of just the plot building from them. What would you give this episode, Dylan? Because episode 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi is the lowest rated episode so far this season. Very, very low, which was last week's episode. By everybody. That's critic grading. I think it got a 5.4.
I would give this one a 7.
It's not bad for you.
No, that scene, I really do not, I do like her character now, so it's not that, it's just that scene of them leaving her there, it just bugs me. Granted, she's obviously going to play a role with the message and stuff, but it just put a bad taste in my mouth in terms of, that's just not how I perceived the characters would do something, and obviously I'm not in charge of the show. So that's my personal opinion, and that's kind of why it got so low for me.
I'm going to give this one an 8.4. I like the flashbacks, like I said. I think the way that they paralleled the flashbacks with what was going on in present time was really well done. The just tenacity and fearlessness and badassery of Darth Vader in this episode was second to none. We actually saw Order 66, which was wild. I never thought that would be something we would see. Without them cutting away from it or without it being animated. And I continued to really enjoy Reva's character development as a new character. I think this one tugged at the heartstrings a little bit, and overall a really solid episode for the penultimate episode. What's your biggest prediction / question you want answered with next week's finale, Dylan?
Well, I just think that we won't see Darth Vader again in terms of fighting unless they fight off Tatooine. I said that. It would be weird. Kind of ruins everything, like the canon, which I don't think they're trying not to do. So I guess they're just making it between Obi-Wan, Tatooine, Reva, and maybe have another cameo of the Skywalkers, and good old Uncle Owen. And I wonder how they're going to play it out. It just seems like they're going to kill her off, which is just prolonged. I honestly will not like next week's episode if they kill her off anyway. Just because they could have did it here, this episode, and it would have made more sense from a well-rounded story, like Revenge. That fits in very nicely with the dark side of the Force. Whereas now she's going to go hold a small child hostage, or you know what I mean? What's her game plan? We'll see, but it's not going to end well for her. And then if they let her live, I hope they don't do it in a campy fashion. Where, she holds hands with Obi-Wan. I've murdered tons of Jedi, but I'm going to go my own way and pursue. No, you know what I mean? She's either dying or she's getting I don't know, crippled or something. She's either dead or dead. The only way I swallow that.
I think what I want to see, which would be super cool, I don't know if we will, is a quad duel of Darth Vader, Grand Inquisitor, Obi-Wan, Reva. Just Super Smash Brothers style. It'd be fucking awesome. That's just my brain on mega fandom, just wanting to see as much action in the finale as possible.
As much lightsabers as he can.
I think the biggest thing you want to avoid, because now Obi-Wan knows that his hologram's missing, you gotta avoid Leia and Luke meeting.
that too, but he's going to presumably return Leia to her father and then beeline it to Tatooine because that's where he hasn't been there in a while. But I agree. That's number one.
One thing that's gone through my mind throughout this entire series too is obviously in like 9 years, I think it is when, the original trilogy begins.
Yes.
How the hell did Leia let this happen to her twice?
She likes getting captured. I think it's just a Skywalker trait. Because Luke.
I was thinking about that when she got captured by Flea, and I'm like, how did she not learn from this?
Luke gets captured by the Abominable Snowman, so either way, the Skywalkers have a long history of getting captured by random entities or creatures or things. But, I'm excited to see how they conclude it, and maybe we'll get a season 2.
It's like, come on, Luke. Didn't you know Bumbles bounce?
Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down, Luke.
What does wobble is when you walk into the Upside Down, Dylan. And it is
right there,
our Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1, Episode 6 breakdown, leading you all the way in to Volume 2, which we will have in 2 weeks, Dylan. 2 weeks we have Volume 2.
I'm getting my brother and Kyle's getting his dad caught up so they can join in live on the phone.
Did you see the viral Instagram reel / TikTok of the actor who plays One / Vecna getting into the Vecna makeup?
Yeah, that looks like it takes a long,
hyperspeed.
Time.
I love that he's actually in like the costume and the makeup.
Yes.
I thought that's really cool. And then just the scenes where like Vecna face is on and he's on his phone or drinking coffee was like incredible.
Agreed.
Incredible stuff. So episode 6, The Dive. The synopsis here is: behind the Iron Curtain, a risky rescue mission gets underway. The California crew seeks help from a hacker, and Steve takes one for the team. So here we go. Spoilers ahead in case you have not watched yet.
He takes on quite a few things for the team in this episode.
Yes. After the death of Patrick McKinney, Chief Calvin Powell and other officers arrive at the crime scene and interrogate Jason Carver, who had seen the supernatural circumstances related to his teammates' demise. Jason relates the story to the officer and comes to the conclusion that Eddie Munson is the vessel for the devil and had obtained its powers after a pact. Outside, the police conduct wide search in Lover's Lake for Eddie, with a fish seemingly getting mutilated by a vine. Elsewhere, Agent Wallace is continuously tortured by Lieutenant Colonel Jack Sullivan. I can't tell you guys enough how much I can't fucking stand Lieutenant Colonel Jack Sullivan.
Yeah,
he's such a dickhead.
He'll come back into fruition somehow.
Was he getting waterboarded? Was that like what they were doing to him?
He was getting like the heat treatment, I thought.
Okay.
They were putting him in a box that was hot or whatever. I forget. But yeah, he was getting tortured. I don't think,
because I know his face was like wet, so I didn't know if it was like sweating or if it was whatever it was.
I think it was sweat, yeah.
And
I have
his
the
men
synopsis open as well. It's been open a couple days, so I'm reading it as you go on.
His men for information related to Eleven's location. Sullivan reveals his reason for wanting to capture Eleven and trusts that she had gone rogue with Martin Brenner and his associates still looking for ways to cover up the incident, and thinks that they will sell her to the Russians despite Wallace laying out the real reasons behind the murders in Hawkins. However, Sullivan refuses to listen to him, and after refusing to cooperate, Wallace is put back for torture. Inside the facility in Ruth, Nevada, Brenner reveals the reason, the cause as to why Eleven lost her powers is that of it's similar to a stroke, which causes the mind to forget how to do things, and believes the Mind Flayer's attack 6 months ago is responsible, and Brenner reassures her that she will learn how to manifest her powers once again. Brenner introduces Eleven to hundreds of tapes that had recorded the events that had transpired in Hawkins' lab, and explains to Eleven that she would need to re-experience it fully. Brenner further tells her that the reason she does not remember a lot of these past events is because her mind's coping mechanism is a way of protecting her from traumatic memories. Afterwards, Eleven steps into Nina and proceeds to recall another memory fragment. Somewhere else in Hawkins, Eddie steals a walkie-talkie from a construction worker. I loved that scene. He was so nefarious and sneaky. and he sneaks off into the forest and tries to contact the group. Elsewhere, Nancy, Robin, Dustin, Lucas, Max, and Steve arrive at Eddie's hideout only to find it that a crime had took place there. Lucas soon discovers that the victim is that of his teammate Patrick, with their families also discovering the gruesome act through the news report. And Mr. Wheeler, where's the FBI? Brother, you haven't done anything
in the box?
You haven't done shit in 4 seasons and almost had your wife cheat on you for an 18-year-old. Get your act together. Eddie gets a hold of the group and tells them that he is currently hiding in Skull Rock, with Steve recognizing the location and proceeds to lead the rest of the group.
Miss Wheeler could have my number if she wants.
Right?
I just want to put it out there.
Back with the California crew, they finally arrive at the Bingham's residence and find that the house is filled with rebellious and energetic children. I kid you not, I felt like I was looking at a live-action Peter Pan and Never Never Land watching those kids. The group meets with the oldest child of the house, Eden Bingham, who Argyle is infatuated with, and she proceeds to guide them to Susie's room. The group finds her and inquires for help, while Susie's up on the roof trying to fix the satellite dish. They told her of the recent events, which is met with difficulty of processing by Susie, but they fake it as a chance to win a console that is not released to the public yet and gift it to Dustin for his upcoming birthday. Those damn Mormons.
You gotta love them.
Susie informs them that her computer is taken away to her dad's office after confessing in changing Dustin's score in his test results 2 days before spring break. Susie realizes that they will need help in retrieving it back, and after the crash, our boy Yuri is tied up with Joyce and Murray, making it out safely, and Yuri strikes a bargain with them, but Murray threatens to leave him behind to get mauled by bears. Fearing for his life, Yuri informs the pair that his warehouse is located in the east, and they needed to reach the prison at sundown if they wanted to save their friend. If he's still alive, that is. The trio is then set out for their destination and arrive at the village Kirzran. The stock up and plans to infiltrate the prison with Murray posing as Yuri in bringing in KGB's most wanted prisoners, with Yuri posing as Murray, albeit gagged upon not willing to further cooperate. Don't worry, it's not a speaking role. In the prison, Hopper and Antonov and the rest of the prisoners are escorted to a dining table where a feast awaits. And during the feast, one of the prisoners tells the group that he had been incarcerated in this place for a week and witnessed the 6 prisoners who had entered but never came back out after being thrown down the hole against the monster from another world. The prisoner assumes that they are put there to test the strength of the beast, which would be used in a war, but Hopper informs them that he knows what it is, with the Russians continuously supplying it with thrills of the hunt by putting inmates in daily as to avoid its disinterest to further hunt, and proceeds to tell them that the food they are being fed to them contains nutrients needed to raise and build up the monster.
Yeah.
Ugh. In one of those memories, Elle spends her time within the Rainbow Room with Peter Ballard, the friendly orderly, giving advice to how Elle can land the ball into slot 3 with her little Plinko machine. The orderly tells Eleven that she reminds him of one who Brenner tells to all the children that the particular child doesn't exist. One never existed. He warns that Brenner does not always tell the truth and had spent a lot of time with one in the Rainbow Room before mysteriously disappearing. The orderly informs Eleven that the strange woman who had come for her was in fact her mother, Terry Ives, with Eleven realizing that her mother never died during her childbirth, and Ballard warns her of the place and its people are not what she thought they had been. Shortly after, Brenner comes in and guides all the children to another lesson. They also did... I wanted to bring this up too, because we brought this up on episode 1. They did mention this was after 8 had run away. They did bring that up. They did name drop 8 in this season, which I think is very important for a theory I'm going to bring up at the end of our breakdown here.
That's true.
During their expedition in finding Skull Rock, Dustin and Steve have trouble in locating the popular place when their compass goes awry, with Steve finally finding the location and reunites with Eddie while other members catch up with one another during the search. In the town hall meeting, people expressing their undeniable belief in Eddie being the culprit behind the serial killings, with one citizen pointing out how Chrissy Cunningham dies in his trailer park and is furious at the fact that Eddie's now being considered the prime suspect in the wake of Patrick's death. The Wheelers, Sinclair's, as well as Henderson's mother, participate in the gathering when it's suddenly interrupted by Jason and his gaggle of goons who had enough of the excuses and lies in search of Eddie. Jason recounts his tale to the people and tells the people that the killings are a form of ritualistic sacrifice and reinforces it in the wake of satanic panic, #bars, and the Starcourt Mall disaster, as well as unexplained deaths in Hawkins over the years. Jason informs the people that the Hellfire Club is one of these cults that act as Eddie's accomplices with their facade as Dungeons and Dragons Club, to which Erica, which you can't spell America without Erica, strongly objects, and their respective families are shocked to learn. Following his speech, Jason manages to turn most of the townspeople to a wide search manhunt for Eddie and the Hellfire Club, which is met with dismay by the Wheelers, Sinclairs, and Dustin's mom, as well as Powell and Callahan. After the meeting, the parents drove back to the Wheelers' house, where they frantically search for their children, only to find their absence from the residence. Upon finding no signs of their presence, Mrs. Wheeler decides to call the cops and help to search for the kids. Back at the group's new hideout, they realize that the time of the attack matches the time where the flashlights that they had gone out in Victor Creel's house.
Victor Creel. I knew he was going to come back.
In the realization that the compass is deflected to the electromagnetism field that is caused by the gates leading to the Upside Down. The group follows this trail to find it is somewhere in Lover's Lake. At the exercise, all the children are taken to a spar training where they must push their opponent with their mind beyond the circle where Brenner had drawn it, with the winner gaining more time in the Rainbow Room. 2 and 6 first begin, with 6 being knocked out, followed by 5, and all the other children until 11 is 2's only opponent left. 11 initially has a hard time in pushing 2 out, but gains the strength after remembering Ballard's advice and drawing powers from sad and angry memories, and wins the spar. After the competition, Brenner notices the subtle hints that he had been helping 11 in learning of her powers. After the feast, Hopper and Antonov initiate a fight after telling the truth to men, as opposed to feeding delusions as a source of hope. The men are knocked out and brought back into their cell, with Hopper revealed to have stolen a lighter from the guard in order to fend off attacks from the Demogorgon, as its main weakness, as we all know, is fire. It's weak to fire. It's a grass-type Pokemon. It's weak to fire.
Firepower.
At the Bingham's residence, Cornelius turns off the power source, which lures Mr. Bingham downstairs, where he is continuously harassed and attacked by his other rebellious children, with the group using the distracted time to trace the IP back to Nevada. They print out the location and head to the van where Argyle and Eden are smoking the weed together.
They are doing that.
After the exercise, 11 notices that Ballard is being tortured and dragged out by other orderlies following Brenner's command, and returns to the room unnoticed. Upon coming back to the Rainbow Room, 11 is relentlessly taunted and bullied by 2, along with 4, 5, and 3, following his first defeat, which heavily affects his pride and ego, reflecting everything we saw in Episode 2 at the skating rink, and 11's past traumas coming back up again while she's in California. Parallels, people. Parallels.
They do a great job at parallels and transitions in that show.
Big facts. So then we get 2 threatening to kill her if she lets the issue be noticed by Brenner, with the group leaving the room after. Following the torment, 11 is taken back to the massacre, where she believes that she had killed all the other children in a fit of rage. 11 is taken out of Nina and resuscitated back by the nurses. She tearfully tells Brenner that she had known what happened during the massacre. Honey Boo Boo, you did not know what was happening during the massacre. It's okay. It was not you. Back in Hawkins, the cops find the station wagon near Skull Rock, prompting Powell and Callahan to check out the scene. Meanwhile, Dustin leads the group to the gate, with Nancy concluding that Vecna leaves the gate the same way as the Demogorgon does, so whenever it attacks, Nancy, Robin, Eddie, and Steve board the boat and leaves Dustin with Lucas and Max. The four young adults paddle to the middle of the lake where the compass starts to deflect madly, and Steve offers to look for the gate by diving beneath the lake, but is ringed up by vines, which ultimately drag him into the Upside Down. Nancy, Robin, and Eddie follow after Steve into the other dimension, while Max, Lucas, and Dustin distract the cops by revealing themselves. They try to outrun them, but are captured, and back in the Upside Down, Steve is attacked by Demobats.
Dude, he got fucked up.
He got massacred by them. He attempts to fight them off, but after a while, the Demobats gain the upper hand, and as they pin Steve to the ground and begin to slowly maul him to death as one of the bats uses its tail to wrap itself around his neck, leaving Steve screaming in pain, his cries echoing in the dark, twisted landscape. And then we cut to credits, Dylan. One of the best cliffhangers in Stranger Things history, in my opinion. Granted, it's not a week-to-week series, so you didn't have to wait. But
no, and
that was one of those things where it's like, all right, fire up the finale. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. The finale. No, it's I very much enjoyed that episode. It's just hard because Kyle and I watched it so long ago, and I haven't had the luxury of rewatching season 4 yet. I'm watching season 3 with my brother. I'm actually gonna hop off here. Not now, obviously, but as soon as I hop off, we're doing this. I'm gonna watch season 4 with Tyler, or season 3 with Tyler, finish it up. So eventually I'll watch season 4 again. So I'll have everything concurrent with my brain. But like when you binge something and it's been a couple weeks now, I'm just like, wait, I think I remember what happened, and I do. But no, Kyle's right. Definitely a cliffhanger. I just can't wait until the last 2 episodes to come out. I think I'd speak for most of like the world because that show is incredibly popular.
So great. I love this. I feel like this is such an underrated episode from this season that like not a lot of people talk about just because episode 7 was so mind-blowing. But I really enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of the plot filled out. You got a lot of backstory in this episode, and it filled in a lot of blanks in all facets, from the Upside Down crew of, Robin, Steve, Eddie, and Nancy. And then you have, the crew that's still in Hawkins, our California crew, and then obviously our crew over with the Rooskies. They've done such a good job, and this being the first time that they've done this, like filming and having people in different parts of the world. I think they've done a really good job storytelling and really piecing the puzzle together with all 4 kind of teams split up everywhere.
No, I definitely agree. I said that before. Like, they do a great job at transitioning. They do a great job at having multiple storylines and not feeling like rushed or confusing. Well, confusing by design, but like not confusing by like wonky, like choppy, I guess.
Yeah.
It flows very smooth, and I appreciate the show for that reason.
I'm giving this episode a 9.1.
Yeah, I'd give it probably like 8.9.
Really enjoyed it. So from the Upside Down, we head to Jersey City to talk about Ms. Marvel episode 2, titled Crush. As Kamala begins training to control her powers with Bruno's help, the latter deduces that the bangle activated Kamala's powers, which came from within her and not exactly from the bangle. Dissatisfied with the male-dominated leadership of their mosque board, Kamala's friend Nakia Bahadir decides to stand up for the women and runs for election on the mosque board. Kamala, Nakia, and Bruno attend a party organized by Zoe, who is the character we saw Kamala save last week, where they meet Kamran, a new British-Pakistani senior at school. The party is cut short by the police, but Kamala manages to make friends with Kamran, and Bruno becomes frustrated when Kamala, infatuated with Kamran, chooses to spend time with him instead of training. And after having a vision of a mysterious woman and blacking out during a family dinner, Kamala asks her grandmother, Sana, and Muniba about Kamala's great-grandmother, Aisha, the original owner of the bangle. But both dismiss her, saying that Aisha had brought shame upon their family.
Classic.
Yusuf says that the young Sana had lost her way in the violence of the partition of India, which, if you don't know about partition, do yourself a favor and go do some research, because partition was an insane time in world history, and it was not that long ago. Partition took place, Dylan, I believe in the 40s. Yeah, 1947. where Britain basically just like left people to do as they please. There was a religious and cultural power struggle, and that's where India and Pakistan kind of like split off, and it was a mass killings, mass just war and separations of families. It was a really wild and devastating time in world history. So if you don't know too much about partition of India,
do your research.
Because it's as like unfortunate as the circumstances are, it's a fascinating thing to really learn about. But she was able to find her father almost mysteriously. And after questioning Zoe about her savior at AvengerCon, we have Detective Cleary and Deaver from the DODC. And Deaver, oh my, is she a little racist? Order a sweep around the tri-state area targeting South Asian communities. At the annual Eid al-Fitr celebration,
I think a little bit is an understatement. That woman's pretty gross.
Pretty racist. We know how she votes. A young boy named Hamid slips from a balcony and almost falls before Kamala rescues him using her powers. Dylan, I don't know if you noticed, but the boy that she saved, the shoes that he had on, were the shoes that were stolen from Kamala's best friend at the mosque.
I did not notice that. That's a good little catch by you.
So we have Hamid slips from the balcony, almost falls before Kamala rescues him using her powers, and she momentarily falters after having another vision of the woman she saw earlier. The DODC agents, led by Deaver, attempt to apprehend Kamala, which we saw a number of things we've seen in the past, Dylan. We saw some Stark Tech droids that we saw in Spider-Man Far From Home, painted up black.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They went full blown. I want to paint it black. And then we also saw those big old shot cannons were Hulkbuster cannons that we saw in the original Ed Norton Hulk movie, which is also very interesting. But Kamran helps her escape in his car. He then introduces Kamala to his mother, Najma, the same woman from her vision, who states she's been waiting to meet her for a very long time. And first things first, Dylan, do you think Kamala and Kamran are actually cousins, like Kamala used as her little white lie to her brother, saying, oh yeah, this is our cousin Kamran, and they might actually be cousins?
I think they might actually be cousins. That would be kind of just fit the whole like comedy of the show. Yeah, I mean like the humor.
And if they are, Kamran, you need to tone the story of trying to cover up everything. You need to tone that flirting down a little bit, buddy.
Yeah.
Because my goodness, you might have thought they were from the old Cedarville, Dylan.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
Oh my God!
Okay, keep going with the synopsis. I'm gonna leave it at that.
A lot of Marvel Easter eggs in this episode, like I just mentioned, the Hulkbuster, the Stark Tech droids. We also got mentions, of Thor, Ant-Man. The Ant-Man mention once again, as it continues to pop up as we get closer and closer to Quantumania.
Just want us to remember that he's real. That's all.
Where did your mind go when she said, we both have shrinking power, or whatever she said, and then it's like, and we both look younger than we actually are? My brain immediately went to Paul Rudd being the sexiest man alive in People magazine. But everybody was like, fun. He's also timeless. And then also in Endgame, he also had the body and head of a baby.
That's true. That's a great little Easter egg in itself right there.
Nice little Thor Easter egg. Kamala asking if she's Asgardian. Lots of fun little tidbits in this one. And
it's self-discovery, like I said, like the first episode. She's trying to literally figure out who she is now as a superhero because she has powers and she has no really idea. She's like, you know what I mean? Was I infected with gamma radiation? Was I bitten by a spider?
Do you think the DODC is full Skrulls?
Skrulls, or they're going to try to do a spin-off parody of what the comics is for her origin with the mist, the gas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a company, AIM, I believe. I think it's AIM, or it's not AIM, but it's a company that's owned by AIM that is responsible
for it. It's the Terrigen Mist, and technically Kamala's an Inhuman.
and they like take people, like hostage or experiment. I basically, what my point is, I think they're gonna like want to make her a lab rat or something, lab rat, or lock her away, or maybe make her a superhero, but stick her on like a team that they make her do. You know what I mean? Like make her do things. Regardless, I don't think they're obviously good news for her going forward with the show. They seem to be the antagonist.
Because obviously, in the comics, with her being an Inhuman and Terrigen Mist, that's a Kree tech thing, and potentially that Bangle is Kree tech. If the DODC is Skrulls, that's kind of just giving us a baseline for Secret Invasion, almost, because obviously the Skrulls and the Kree have their ongoing shadow war that will be revealed in Secret Invasion. I'm super intrigued about this Aisha Najma character, who she is. And also, I don't know if you caught when they were talking about the Bollywood movies, Dylan, they brought up Kingo's name from the Eternals.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Which is also very cool. He finally comes back up. But I thought this episode did a really good job of storytelling, a lot of character development.
Give it a better score, Miss Marvel fans. So.
And I loved the cliffhanger. Like, I thought it was super cool, too, that if you listen closely when they were telling the story about Partition and everything and how, like, they escaped on the last train and everything, when Kamala had the initial vision, and then at the end, when she sees Najma, under the music, there's a train horn blaring, which I thought was a really, really cool touch to kind of just, like, signify, like, hey, this is the same person.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it like that. I think I would actually give this. I think last week I gave it like a 6 point something. So I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna give it like a 7.1. The direction of the show is turning in a way in which I find more enjoyable. So I'm not. It's kind of like my foot's in the door, so to speak, but it's not. I'm not through the door. So hopefully, Miss Marvel and company.
You're like Dear Evan. You're like Dear Evan Hansen. You're just through a window.
Yeah. It's funny. No, the point is, like, I starting to like it more, which is ironic. So we'll see which way the show goes.
I totally forget what I gave my my score last week, but
I'm giving this. Keep up with all the scores, man.
I'm giving this one an 8.7. I really enjoyed the story building and the plot development and just like learning more and more about what the hell the DODC is up to. I feel like they're going to be like the true quote unquote villains of this show.
I feel like you're ready to like rap every time you say DODC.
DODC.
Try to drop
what you bars. Know about me.
There you go.
But I'm very excited to see where this show continues to take us and where it's going to, reach into. And a lot of people are speculating that the facility that She-Hulk is working at is going to be with the DODC as well, which I could totally see that popping up.
For all we know, the DODC could be like classic case of they look bad and maybe they are somewhat bad, but they aren't actually that bad. It's just, you got to remember the main character is a woman, a child, essentially.
Yeah.
Who just got superpowers, and that's a lot to take in. You know what I mean? So my point is she might view things differently than someone who's like 30 years old and has life experience would view things.
Because also, let's not forget, in Spider-Man No Way Home, Daredevil kind of took care of things with the DODC to get Peter Parker, written off from everything that was going down. So that's another way that they could tie Daredevil into She-Hulk and bring all of that portion of the MCU together, which would be very, very fun.
Full circle, essentially.
Full send, if you will.
Full send, full circle, the usual. And if you don't see me in camera right now, if you're watching on YouTube, don't freak out. I'm just very tired, and I'm stretching, so I don't fall asleep.
Well, Dylan, while you stretch, I will introduce everybody's favorite segment. It is the Streaming Platform Multiverse News and Notes brought to you by our homies over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports. They are the newest partners for fan engagement with the Chicago Sky and the WNBA. big tings from our pals over at Pickup. Go to
Big
playpickup.com now and start playing those hot-ass headlines. Dylan, one show other than Moon Knight that I have been genuinely super stoked for because I read the entire comic run. Ironheart is now filming.
Hey.
You already know I am bringing it for that, John, because I have those hard copies of those comics. That first appearance, Riri Williams, is in my possession. What you know about it? Let's go. We have a new Netflix movie coming September 23rd, Dylan. It's called Blonde, starring Ana de Armas as Marilyn Monroe.
I'm a simple man. You say Ana de Armas, and I go.
A doing, doing, doing.
Well, yes, but that's not where I was going with that. But yeah.
This is a new one that I don't think anybody's really heard much about. This came out today. A Wonder Man series is in the works at Disney Plus from Shang-Chi director Destin Daniel Cretton.
A Wonder Man.
Camera could be rolling in 2023, according to The Hollywood Reporter. That's intriguing. That's one project Marvel-wise that we haven't heard about like at all. But one that we have been hearing about a lot. Tom Hardy, our boy, posted the script cover on his Instagram for Venom 3, Dylan.
Hey, yo.
Script cover is there. Tom Hardy. Here we go. Last Dance.
Speaking of new things, one, I don't know if I mentioned it before. I saw the new Top Gun.
Interesting.
I very much enjoyed it, actually.
Still have to see it.
I would love to join the mustache train, but I look creepy if I shave my beard, so we're not going to do that. And then, secondly, I know Buzz Lightyear just came out, and I heard it's causing mixed reactions, which, to be fair, I mean, I didn't really think that. I love Pixar, and their animation's always like God tier. But like the Buzz Lightyear story, I feel like anybody like you or I or anybody who like pays extra attention to movies and streaming, like that movie smells like it was either going to be great or kind of not a top tier Pixar production, just because they've had so many good films.
I'm definitely going to go see it in theater because
I'll definitely give it a chance and see it in theaters or wait for it to come out and just watch it. I'm not going to knock it off before it, but it really has gotten some bad reviews. And a guy that I follow on TikTok who does really good reviews, both spoilers and without, his spoiler-free review said that the side characters were great, but they weren't developed, and that the storyline starts off with a bang and then gets boring, which makes sense. So it sounds to me like it would be like a 6 or 7 out of 10 movie. So not terrible. I mean, not like stellar.
And a lot of people are, the clown trolls are online talking about the same-sex kiss that happened that was in it, then removed, then put back in. Chris Evans basically said that critics and everybody are going to, blow away to the wayside like the dinosaurs, is what he said. So shout out Chris Evans. I'm going to give it a chance just because, like, reading the premise of it, it's basically, like, you got to watch it like you're Andy in the Toy Story universe, and, like, this character is, like, it's his Star Wars. Like, it's his big movie. It's his big character. That's why he has these toys. That's why he wants to go get the Buzz Lightyear, action figure from the toy store. That's kind of how it's like supposed to be perceived. It's like Andy's big movie character in the Toy Story universe. So
got some more news for us streaming folks. I saw the other day that the MLS partnered with Apple TV.
Yes, so that is huge. Matt and I touched on that a little bit on the main pod Wednesday night. I think that's huge because
it is huge for the growth of the MLS in America, but also I guess worldwide, because I'm assuming Apple TV is not just a US thing.
Yeah, you can access it on phone, tablet, PlayStation, Xbox, Roku, Fire Stick. Like, it's a very accessible thing, and the people complaining about it, you're not realizing the target demo that the MLS is trying to reach. Yeah. The MLS is trying to reach that age range of like 18 to 34 right now. They want to bring in a young fan base, and a lot of that 18 to 34 is using Apple TV.
It's just good for growing the sport. Like,
and the best part about it too, Dylan, there are 0 blackouts.
No, I typed in news, and this is just one. Oh, fuck, I don't want to say this. If you like anime, like I do a little bit, there's an anime called One Punch Man. Kyle, it's actually one that I probably think you would enjoy the most.
I
Long
just
story
saw
sh-
something about this.
Making a movie, but it's
Yeah.
Justin Lin. He directed Fast and Furious, so my expectations are already not high because those movies are they were good when you were younger and they had like two or three out and then they keep coming
Yeah.
and they keep coming and they keep every movie it's like no offense against Vin Diesel, but he basically finds a new decent A list or A minus or B plus tier actor. Yo, this is my brother, separated at birth, and now we're against each other at odds. Family for life.
I think
Do
what
it,
I'll
guy.
say, though, as tropey as some of these Fast and Furious movies have been, for a lot, like, it's live action, right? For the One Punch Man movie?
Which automatically makes me scared because so far any of the live action anime adaptations have been
I'll say, if you're going to bring in somebody for action, though, Fast and Furious isn't a bad place to go to.
That's true, but my point is, I was going to summarize it in 20 seconds for you who haven't watched it. One Punch Man is a superhero show, right?
Right.
And this main superhero, the main protagonist, is what the title implies. He
Right.
is so strong that anything he faces, he literally
One
punches
punch.
at one time and they die.
Yeah.
So there has to, and the character is kind of boring, and they're bald.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be, and they're like not that old. Like I think he's like 30, if that. So it has to be a younger guy who's bald and has to have good comedic timing, but also be like muscular. And some of the side characters they have are wild. I don't know if they would be able to even like the main character's like sidekick, his disciple, as the guy calls himself, which is hilarious, is like a cyborg. So that would have to be either CGI'd or like heavily makeup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like a cyborg that he makes DC's cyborg look like a bitch. And I use that word lightly because he has a lot more modifications. And
Yeah.
like it would be a CGI person's worst nightmare in terms of like they would have to edit so much more than you would for like Cyborg, like another Cyborg.
I do have fun and exciting anime news for you, Dylan.
There you go. Let me have it.
In development, 3 new Avatar: The Last Airbender films through Avatar Studios.
Yeah, I was reading about that the other day. That's really exciting. I'm hoping they explore different things, and I'm just excited to get like more content with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, not franchise, I guess.
Yeah. That's something that I like. I watched that on Nickelodeon, like not straight through. I didn't watch it like episode by episode, but like if it was on, I'd throw it on, and like it's an entertaining show.
I loved the Avatar show so much. I even watched the couple years ago when it came out, whenever it was, and I was like, what, 1918? The other one, Legend of Korra.
Legend of Korra, I've heard that's really good too.
That one's cool, Kyle. It's like they did like the kind of Nickelodeon thing where they made like a kid show, but it was more catered to like 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. Like it was more adult. Like they even had which same thing with the Buzz Lightyear thing. They had some implications of characters that were gay, which is awesome. But you know, people were like, "My kid can't watch that." But it wasn't. It was like holding hands. It was like something.
Dylan, we have massive, huge, iconic news that is a big time. Real ones know it.
Lay it on to the people and to me, so I can go to sleep.
The Thunderbolts, as you know, near and dear to my heart, have a movie in development.
That's sweet.
So, Dylan, I have to ask you.
That's on brand for you, my guy.
It's on brand for me, and some of the characters that they have brought up to be part of this team up. Baron Zemo, Yelena Belova, Taskmaster, Ghost from Ant-Man, U.S. Agent. These are just like characters that they've like brought up, but the officialness is that the movie is in development, but these are characters that they've like brought up in talks. Abomination, and our boy Bucky, the Winter Soldier.
I'm like, ooh. Okay, well, I want Baron Zemo and Bucky, and then I'll take. Actually, I want Baron Zemo, Bucky, and U.S. Agent because that's a really interesting dynamic. Since with the whole like one of them doesn't like powered up people, and I obviously want Abomination because with him that implies you're gonna fight some crazy monster or whatever enemy. I hope they kind of do it like a Marvel version of a Suicide Squad, not in terms of killing off a bunch of characters, but let's say they
do the
have
dirty
all those.
work that.
Well, no, the dirty work, but let's say you can kill off like 3 or 4 characters, like nothing crazy, but like small ones. I'm saying,
Yeah.
like they have a bunch of villains, and they have a couple more minor ones, like Condiment King for DC. Like we don't care about him, like someone like that, but Marvel equivalent. You know what I mean? Like not Crossbones, but someone like that, but a little less on the totem pole. Like have them come in.
Let me ask you this: how would you feel about these two pieces being part of the Thunderbolts? Because I've seen both of them in theory, and it would be fucking awesome.
Lay on the theory.
Number 1,
okay.
Deadpool.
That would probably be a good way to introduce him. In all honesty, so I'm okay with number 1. How about number 2?
Number 2 makes my skin have goosebumps of excitement. Somebody brought up today.
I'll scream. Okay.
Potentially. No. Think back to Daredevil season 3.
Ooh.
Bullseye.
Oh, only if it's Colin Farrell again.
Yes.
Actually, I wouldn't mind that, but no,
because obviously at the end of season 3, you get that cliffhanger of him getting his back repaired by the Doctor, who in the comics becomes like a big villain in New York City when Kingpin's in jail. But they couldn't build upon his character because Netflix didn't have the rights to using adamantium, which in the comics is what he gets put in his back. But now it's all under one roof. You can put adamantium in Homeboy's back to repair him and put him on the Thunderbolts because I feel like he fits right into this ragtag team of ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah, good word. Good vocab word there. Good $10 word. No, I completely agree with you. I genuinely think I think I'd rather have Bullseye than Deadpool.
Yeah, me
Bullseye
too.
is just a really cool villain. Deadpool's cool, but you have to use him sparingly because he's too campy and in a good way. But he's such a goofball. You know what I mean? Like he kind of takes away from. My point is, if you put Deadpool in it, I think it knocks down the severity, the seriousness of the film. And obviously, a superhero film can only be so serious. But if you're doing this ragtag team of outcasts and criminals to take down something, it's going to be something nuts. So my point is, I'm not sure if they would want to go in like a Suicide Squad direction in terms of humor. You know what I mean? Because Marvel has its own humor, but it's different. But no, I agree. I think Bullseye would be sweet. So I'm fully on board with that, like times 1,000.
I got a couple more for you, Dylan. We did get the name and release time period for the Knives Out sequel coming to Netflix.
Still need to see the first one.
Knives Out. The sequel is officially titled Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery, releasing this holiday season on Netflix. Very excited about Knives Out 2. And then I don't know if you saw the big news, Dylan. Squid Game Season 2
yes,
confirmed.
I finally finished that, by the way.
Oh, let's go. What did you think?
I loved it. I loved the main character is one of the coolest arcs. He has moments where like you kind of doubted him, but all in all, I think he's the only one that truly remained a human throughout the course of the contest.
Yeah, I Squid Game is in my all-time pantheon.
It was
shows.
a little uncomfortable when he was taking advantage of the old man when they were playing that one game.
Yeah,
but I deduced, and I wish I'd watched it then. I was dumb. I figured out the old guy was the mastermind. It made too much sense. I'm like, why is this old ass man still here?
I'm so excited. Like Squid Game was a huge phenomenon.
The cop still alive?
Yes, I do think the cop is still alive. Because I think he's gonna come back, and I think his brother
he might be a contestant.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna sneak in to try to kill his brother.
Yeah, especially when the brother let the other brother die.
And my theory about why those like high-ranking like other government people were there. Remember when the main character, his ex-wife, has a new husband and everything. He was talking about how he was moving to America to start up this new job and everything. I think they're taking Squid Game to all the other countries.
Well, they kind of hinted at that, didn't they? They
Yeah.
had those games over the. Yeah.
So that would be wild. But
They
Squid
might
Game
do like a
season
Squid
2.
Games, like Hunger Games, where they take the winners, like winner bracket.
That'd be insane. That'd be so cool. I hope they continue to build and expand upon this universe because Squid Game was fucking awesome. I'm super excited about that. And then, Dylan, the new Adam Sandler movie now on Netflix, Hustle.
I need to watch that. I haven't watched it yet.
I'm going to be watching it because in the very near future, actually, we will be putting the interview in on this episode, but we have a member of the cast coming on Underground Sports Philadelphia. Daryl Reynolds, former Villanova basketball star, was on the 2016 national championship team. He's in the movie, and he has verbally agreed via Twitter to come on the show, so we will be having somebody from Hustle on the pod. Super excited.
Sick.
Super
speaking
pumped.
of Twitter, it's a good segue for what I usually say. Speaking of social media, speaking of reviews, speaking of YouTube, speaking of podcast reviews, hey, what Kyle and I said earlier, let us know, leave them reviews, subscribe, leave them likes, and tell us what you want us to watch. I'm currently running through things that I need to watch. I'm burning through things, rather. So give me, not even for the sake of content, like I personally need you to give me ideas on what to watch, but content-wise as well. So please, let us know, like, what you want us to watch.
And one last thing, too, we are very close because it is confirmed, Dylan, via Isaac Bauman on Instagram, Loki Season 2 is now filming.
Oh my goodness.
Let's fucking go.
And speaking of upside down and crazy things, I hear my family yelling for me. So that is my time to go. I just
Make
hear
sure
my name being shouted in the distance, bro. Like, what the fuck?
Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN, Twitter and Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola as my face is being hidden. Follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And, of course, thank you to our sponsors, Tomahawk Shades, Kenwood Beer, and Beano Board. All of their information is in the podcast notes and the YouTube description down below. So support our sponsors who support us and make these shows happen. This has been another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Dylan, I'm KB. And until next time, I'm getting the heck out of here. Peace. Keep on streaming.